up. A baby was born, ready to take the world by storm. Welcome to our Vicinity 95.3 FM Ikejile Ijesha.
This is Vicinity 95.3 FM Ikejile Ijesha. The time is 12 o'clock. I am Oluwafunke Israel with Global News. First headlines. Ministry of Urban Development launches housing initiative to support vulnerable communities. Rwanda President sacks Prime Minister over matters of accountability. And Hamas confirms response to latest Gaza truce proposal. Now the news in full. Ministry of Housing and Urban Development has launched a housing initiative to address homelessness across the country and generate over 2 million jobs nationwide in an effort to stimulate the local economy and support vulnerable communities. The Minister, Architect Ahmed Dangiwa, announced the launch at a briefing with the House of Representatives Committee on Housing and Habitat at the National Assembly in Abuja. He added the initiative will be financed through the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Development Fund. At the heart of the initiative is the Renewed Hope Social Housing Program, which seeks to construct 100 housing units in each of Nigeria's 774 local government areas, amounting to over 77,000 new homes across the country for low-income earners, unemployed citizens, vulnerable populations, and internally displaced persons. Commissioner of Energy across that state have expressed readiness to meet with power distributors to negotiate electricity tariffs in order to ease the burden on residents of the state. This followed the recent quote on electricity tariff for Band A customers from 200 naira per kilowatt to 160 naira by the Energy Electricity Regulatory Commission, a move rejected by the power generation and distribution companies as they kick against any form of negotiations with states on power tariffs, stressing the planned reduction of electricity tariff by the state government might wreck the power sector. Meanwhile, Enugu Electricity Regulatory Commission and states in support have defended their position to regulate the power sector in the various jurisdictions. The People's Democratic Party have called for the party's 2027 presidential ticket to be zoned to the south, speaking at the consultative conference of PDP founding fathers and stakeholders held in Abuja with the theme Reclaiming Our Legacy, Renewing Our Collective Vision by former Minister of Information and Orientation, Professor Jerry Gana, stated zoning the ticket to the south would help secure victory in the 2027 presidential election, calling on the party leaders to support presidential candidates for 2027 from the southern states to ensure victory at the polls while promoting justice, fairness, and equity. Gana stated that the new National Working Committee should serve as the driving force behind the rebuilding, repositioning, and revival of the People's Democratic Party. Rwanda President Paul Kagame has sacked Prime Minister Edward Ingerente, who had served since July 17. Spanning over 8 years, the Deputy Governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, Justice Iseguwav, has been appointed the country's new Prime Minister, who pledged to serve the nation with humility and dedication. Prime Minister Edward Ingerente said she was dismissed from her position owing to matters of accountability on the investigation. Under Rwanda's constitution, the appointment of a new prime minister triggers the formation of a new cabinet within 15 days. Central African Republic has published its provisional voter list marking a key step towards the country's general elections scheduled for December. The National Elections Authority posted the list in Bangui and several provincial towns following a voter registration process that began in December 2024. The process had earlier faced delays due to technical, financial, and security challenges, but the move was welcomed by some citizens as progress toward credible elections. Concerns have emerged over irregularities, including missing names and duplicate entries. The electoral body, in response, opened a complaint window for voters to review and contest the list. Civil society groups and observers are calling for prompt corrections to ensure transparency and inclusiveness in the electoral process. Libya has condemned the deteriorating humanitarian situation in Gaza. Prime Minister Abdul Hamid Debab met with U.S. Senior Advisor for Africa and for Arab and Middle East Affairs, Massa Boulos, at a high-level talks with U.S. officials in Tripoli. The country's internationally recognized government made it known that Debab denounced what it described as crime, starvation, and ongoing aggression against the Palestinian people. He called for an immediate end to the conflict, the lifting of the siege, and protection of civilians. This is Vicinity 95.3 FM. Kejile Ijesha. Global News will continue shortly. Thanks for staying tuned for news updates and live streaming. Visit our website at vicinity953fm.com.ng. You can also follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at Vicinity95.3 FM. For breaking news, send us an email at vicinitynewsroom@gmail.com or call 081-4365-8302. Now the rest of the news. Hamas announced on Thursday it has submitted its response to an Israeli proposal for a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza after talks stalled for 2 weeks amid indirect negotiations in Doha, Qatar. The group said its response reflected the positions of all the Palestinian factions and was delivered to mediators facilitating the talks. A Palestinian source said Hamas proposed amendment to key clauses with those on aid delivery, Israeli troop withdrawals, and guarantees for a permanent end to the war. The negotiations, which aim to secure a truce and the release of Israeli hostages, have seen little progress. According to Israeli military, of the 251 hostages taken during Hamas' October 2023 attack, 49 remain in Gaza, 27 of whom are believed to have passed away. Israel, however, insists on dismantling Hamas' military and governing capabilities, while Hamas demands a lasting ceasefire, full Israel withdrawal, and unimpeded humanitarian aid. Our U.S. Appeal Court has ruled that President Donald Trump's order restricting birthright citizenship was unconstitutional and backed the decision of a lower court to block the order amid multiple legal proceedings. Trump's executive order decreed that children born to parents in the United States illegally or on a temporary visas would not automatically become citizens. Several district judges had blocked Trump's attempt to end the long-standing rule guaranteeing the U.S. Constitution that anyone born on U.S. soil is automatically an American citizen. The appeal court also concluded that Trump's birthright order went against the wording of the U.S. Constitution. A bit of sports. Atalanta have identified Liverpool winger Federico Chiesa as a potential replacement for Nigerian striker Ademola Lookman, who is attracting strong interest from Inter Milan. The Serie A club is preparing for Lookman's possible departure, but insists he will only be sold on their terms. Inter remains the front runners for the African Ballon d'Or winner, having tabled an initial €14 million offer. However, they may need to increase the bid to meet Atalanta's €50 million valuation. Talks between Atalanta and Inter are ongoing as Lukman also recovers from a minor calf injury amid the transfer speculation. 10 Global News, another look at the headlines. Ministry of Housing and Urban Development has launched a housing initiative to address homelessness across the country, generate over 2 million jobs nationwide in an effort to stimulate the local economy and support vulnerable communities. We told you that Rwanda President Paul Kagame has sacked Prime Minister Edouard Nigerente, who had served since July 2017, owing to matters of accountability under investigation. Lastly, you heard Hamas announced on Thursday that it has submitted its response to an Israeli proposal for a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza after talks stalled for 2 weeks amid indirect negotiations in Doha, Qatar. And just before we go, the last line: did you know Abraham Lincoln was a licensed bartender before he became President of the United States of America? That was Global News as edited by Shah Ibrahim. I am Oluwafunke Israel. Thanks for listening. Please stay tuned for news nationwide at 6 o'clock. Good afternoon.
Music.